Most of you in the audience tonight know this is what we do today, but there is much more to our story than this. Our story begins with a group of neighbors that had a vision of a fire company to protect not only their own homes, but the homes of all who lived in Weldon. They met at the Weldon Hotel. From the first minutes of April 20th, 1904, a meeting of citizens interested in the formation of a fire company for the protection of property in Weldon and vicinity was held on the above date. In this meeting, it was decided that a committee of three, Buck, Stewart, and Smith, draft the Constitution and bylaws, and Robert Gracie was to solicit subscriptions for a hose reel. Weldon took delivery of their first piece of apparatus from the F.J. Donnell Company of Jenkintown. The horse-drawn hose reel was delivered on October 8, 1904, for the price of $110. The first fire that the hose reel was called to was on February 7, 1905, in Switchville. Starting in 1906, it cost the company money every time the hose reel was used, since we were charged $2 every time we needed a horse. Can you picture Larry explaining $900 in 2003 horse rental fees to the auditor this past January? On October 6, 1911, Weldon Fire Company finally had a place to call home. W.T. Roberts sold Weldon the land and donated some stone to build the firehouse, an early example of neighbors helping neighbors. Prior to the advent of pagers and home alerts, the company had to resort to a more primitive method of alerting our members of a fire. In 1912, we purchased a double bell. In 1913, it was replaced by a fire gong crafted from a train rim. Prior to somebody ringing the gong, the phone company would have to call the firehouse or the Weldon Hotel. The gong was replaced by the siren in 1919. In 1914, Weldon purchased its first motorized vehicle from the Garford Company and trained 3 members to be qualified to drive the truck. In 1915, Weldon began to have regularly scheduled training sessions to instruct members how to use the fire apparatus. Look at these guys showing up to fire school in their Sunday best, climbing an old wooden ladder, 2 at a time no less, and they even brought their dog. In early 1917, Weldon purchased a Palmer Singer touring car that was overhauled and equipped to serve as a fire truck. William Luff is shown standing next to the truck. Later in 1917, the company purchased an Oldsmobile to carry chemical tanks. It's shown here at Willow Grove Park. In 1923, Weldon purchased an American LaFrance combination rotary pump, chemical tank, hose apparatus, and paid cash. The truck is pictured in front of the new firehouse completed in 1927. In 1940, Weldon took delivery of a Ward LaFrance triple combination pumper. This truck featured a 600-gallon per minute pump and a 200-gallon booster tank. In 1951, the company purchased a new Ward LaFrance pumper. This truck featured a 750-gallon per minute 2-stage pump and 250-gallon booster tank. Starting in 1952, Thursday night was designated as fire school night at Weldon. Also in 1952, Weldon went on record as being in favor of a new training tower, which now stands at the base of Flory Lane. In December of 1952, Chief Clark guided Weldon through the most significant fires to date at the Keswick Theater. It would be months before the details of this fire would be known. Weldon was in service for 5 hours and 40 minutes working to extinguish the fire, which caused $112,077.20 in damages to the structure. Through the efforts of Weldon and several surrounding fire companies, the fire was contained to the roof and air conditioning system, but it wouldn't be until 1954 before the theater would open its doors again. In 1955, Weldon purchased a Seagrave pumper. In 1956, Weldon responded to 2 separate fires at Mooney's Furniture Storage within weeks of one another. The first fire was caused by burning brush, and the second fire was caused by a child playing with matches. In 1957, Weldon purchased the gas station adjacent to the firehouse with plans of expanding from 2 bays to 4. It was not until May of 1960 the company approved the motion to build the addition. Construction started shortly thereafter, and the addition was dedicated in 1961. 1958 was the year of the blue light and siren number 2. It's hard to imagine now not having a blue light, but in 1958 there was a lot less cars on the road. Also, the company decided it needed a second siren in the Glenside Gardens to alert members residing in this section of a fire. On February 23, 1961, our new utility truck was placed into service. Originally, it was used to carry several firefighters. Slowly but surely, basic rescue tools were added to the vehicle as it became more than just a utility truck, leading to what we know today as Rescue 300. In 1964, the company purchased its first home alert system. At a cost of $130 each, 5 were purchased for line officers. It took several years to acquire home alarm systems for all members. These were eventually replaced by the pagers we know today. Also in 1964, the company agreed to store American flags for the Greater Glenside Patriotic Association. It was also agreed that Memorial Day, Independence Day, Flag Day, and Veterans Day, the company would put up these flags along Easton Road and Keswick Avenue. Currently, the company members still rise early each Memorial Day and Independence Day to put these flags up. In 1967, one of the more memorable floods occurred in the Keswick section of the district. The July monthly meeting was postponed twice because the crew was working on flooded basements. November of 1973 saw the arrival of the new Bruco rescue truck. This truck was equipped with the most modern rescue equipment of the time, including Hurst hydraulic tools, jimmy jacks, high lift jacks, bottle jacks, and other stabilization equipment. This truck would also carry manpower to fire calls inside the truck, a critical feature once the NFPA would disallow riding on the back step to fires, citing safety issues. In June of 1978, Weldon agreed to accept the title and house the new Township Air Unit. Chief Schramm reported that the new air system would be a vehicle with a mounted compressor. It was also at this time when Weldon entered into a mutual aid agreement with Glenside Fire Company. Weldon's rescue specialty was beginning to be recognized. Weldon took delivery of 2 new pumpers in September of 1981, one September 16th and the other on September 23rd. With the arrival of a custom-built Spartan Salisbury rescue truck in 1989, Weldon would take delivery of its most significant piece of apparatus to date. This truck featured an impressive array of heavy rescue equipment and helped set the standard for modern-day rescue apparatus. Its design is still used today. The truck also stood as an example of the dedication of Weldon members to making heavy rescue their specialty. It served as the command center for many fire incidents as well.